Advanced Dungeons and Warhammer. What? That's right. I've got 50 humans going up against 8 giant spiders, and I thought, hey, since I'm doing a miniature war game, I'd like to kind of flex, just kind of maintain my muscles, my Warhammer muscles. I thought this would be good. This would be good. It's not a fair fight, by the way, but it was generated spontaneously and organically by our AD&D campaign. So we're going to shift gears a little bit here. We're going to play a little Warhammer scenario, and we'll get to the rules here in a little bit, but I want to explain to you how I set up these guys. Now, of course, I am missing the 10 medium horse. We'll talk about them later. I just looked up the rules for giant spiders. And I, of course, have Ravening Hordes. That's this wonderful little booklet, which doesn't have just spiders in it, even though, these guys ride spiders. So what I did is I took these spiders from 7th edition and then used those. And basically, it's really simple. Their stat line is going to look like this. And you guys know how. For those of you that aren't big Warhammer fans, don't worry about what this means. You'll figure it out as we go. So the 8 spiders, they're going to be moving 7 inches. They've got a weapon skill of 3, strength 3, toughness 4. They're a little tougher. Remember, their hit die is 1+1. And then 1, 4, 1, 2 for the rest of their. They ignore terrain because they're spiders. That doesn't apply for water. And then they're poisonous. And the way poison works in this game, on the attack roll, if you're doing a melee, if you roll a 6, you auto-wound. So for those of you who don't know, Warhammer is a roll to hit, roll to wound, roll to save. If you roll a 6 on these guys, you automatically wound. Otherwise, generally speaking, the guys that they're going up against are going to have toughnesses of, it says here, 3s. So strength 3, toughness 3. Normally, you're only going to wound on a 4 up. But if you roll a 6 on that attack roll, don't even do that. Just go right to armor save. Now, for the humans, this is a standard template. I used the Imperial troops. Tweaked it a little bit. So for the archers, they all basically have the same stat line here, right? They fight on a 3. The Lightfoot, not quite as good as the archers, so their ballistic skill is a 2, meaning they're going to be hitting on 5s, where the archers hit on 4s. The archers have longbows. That helps distinguish them. Longbows have a 30-inch range. The short bows for the Lightfoot, they only have a 16-inch range. Okay, but then the other thing is, since Lightfoot only hit on 5s, they do have light armor. That gives them a 6-up save. The Heavyfoot, they got light armor and a shield, gives them a 5-up save. And then the medium horse, these guys are a little tricky. I used the stat line for the knights, but instead of giving them a lance, they have a spear, light armor, and shield, which means they're going to get the 4-up save, right? They have a leadership of 8. Now, I'm not using any leaders. I'm not using a lot of the big fancy stuff because, frankly, when you put together a skirmish set for AD&D, it all kind of gets lost in the background. And to be perfectly honest with you, I don't want to mess with it, right? They got a leadership. And the nice thing is, with a leadership of 7s mostly, 7s and 8s across the board here, there will be an opportunity to do some morale checks. If these guys get into melee combat and lose a fight, they'll have to make a morale check. And there's a good chance that they run away, which is good. Very easy peasy. I like it. Now, this is not going to be a standard line them up and attack. Remember that in our scenario, in our campaign, these guys are trying to clear the hex. So this is a campaign, and all they want to do is squash as many of these bugs as possible. If they can squash most of them, we'll call it a success. These guys are ambush predators, and they don't realize that they're about to get smacked around by the humans. So what does that mean? Well, we can have a little bit of fun with this. We can balance things a little bit more. Granted, we've got 8 versus 50, 60 if you include the horses. So it's not a fair fight, except that the victory conditions are very different for each of these guys. The spiders want to kill somebody, drag them into a hole. These guys want to kill the spiders. And if they succeed, they will receive a massive reward of 8d6 gold pieces. And copper. Not great, but hey, at least the hex is safe for the farmers to bring their sheep down. And maybe that's enough reward. Enough reward. Don't pay the bills, though. Our terrain represents the grassland where the spiders are found. Once again, we're doing hex clearing, so I've put 10 little tokens down on the board. Couple of things to bear in mind. I'm using 15mm figures. These are the light infantry, they're going to be leading the way. We've got archers and horsemen over here, and 2 units of heavy spears ready to charge up. And these guys aren't expecting spiders. They don't know what to expect. They're just doing a simple sweep. So we're going to march them forward. When they get to within 1.5 inches of one of these, the trap is sprung. There's a couple of different possibilities here. It's either going to be nothing at all. That's the case for 5 of them, 1 through 5. 6 through 8 are going to be webs, and they're going to pin that unit in place for 3 turns. They're just going to have to sit there. On a 9 or a 10, it's webs, and the spiders come jumping out, which means that additional terrain can go through. The humans can't move through webs at all unless they're already stuck in it. It takes 3 turns to clear. The spiders, of course, ignore it. The tall grasses are fairly dense. Humans are going to move at half speed. I'm using 15 millimeter figures. That means all my measurements are cut in half. Normally, the humans move 4 inches. In this case, they're going to be moving 2 inches. Normally, they charge 8 inches. On this table, they're going to be charging just 4 inches. That's all there is. So remember when I said these guys have a range of 16 inches? It's only 8. These guys have a range of 8 inches. These guys have a range of, was it 30 inches? Yeah, so 15 on my table. So what I can do here, I don't have to worry about initiative. I don't have to worry about deployment. I get to set them up however I wanted to. And it's getting late in the day. There's a little bit of story reasons why they don't do this a little bit more sensically. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to move these guys 4 inches, and they're going to form skirmish line. So that's going to trigger these traps one way or the other. Although maybe I wait. Maybe I just send them out in a skirmish line like this. And the nice thing about Warhammer 6th edition is it's really flexible, man. It's got all kinds of little subsystems and sub-rules for like skirmishing and whatnot, for poison, for monsters. We're going to stop right there. We're more than 1.5 inches away. In fact, we could probably bring them up something like this. Now, from here on out, my skirmish line is going to have to move man for man, right? They don't all move in one shot. So what I'm going to do is set my camera so we can see things a little bit more cleanly. I'm also going to bring my archers up just 2 inches like this, and they are in a block of troops. I'll bring these guys up right behind the skirmishers, and I think that'll be it for now. For those of you keeping score at home, skirmishers are on page 269 of the core rulebook for 6th edition. They deploy a ½ inch apart. They move at double their movement rate in any direction, suffer no penalties for moving through difficult terrain. If they move at double pace, they can't shoot. Missile fire at them is at -1. And by the way, I'm going through this in some detail because the spiders are going to be using the skirmish rules as well. Oh boy, here come the cicadas. Actually, they're not cicadas, they're crickets. To lend a little outdoor ambiance for today's video. If skirmishers are charged, the enemy is halted once it reaches the closest, and then they form up as described above. Now, I'm going to have these guys in 2 units of 5. That way we can kind of keep them moving, right? So the reason I'm going through that is because these guys here can move a total of 4 inches. And once the first guy gets to close enough to this near box, then what I'm going to do to kind of indicate this is they're all about a ½ inch apart. We'll bring these guys up. They can move 4 inches as well. So they're going to come up to, about 1 inch away, and we'll just kind of do it like this. That way, we can get to the good stuff just a little bit faster. We turn these over. We got a 3, which is nothing, and a 7, which is a web. Okay, so now I get to drop down my spider webs. Thank you to my daughter, whose flamingo gave some of its guts to make these. We're completely out of cotton balls. I'm in a house with 3 women, and we don't have any cotton balls? What the heck, man? I've been slacking as a dad. You'll notice I haven't moved these guys yet. They're going to have to wheel. We're going to move them like 3 inches and then maybe 1 up to there. That's about as close. So what's going to happen here is this unit in the foreground is going to have to spend 3 turns cutting their way out. And the other thing we'll do is once we uncover the 9 or the 10 piece, we're just going to bring all the spiders out. That way our little archers can kind of have some fun too. Now I am going for broke with my riders. They're bold. They're not cautious at all. They're going to move up and they're going to investigate this guy. And it's a number 2. I don't know which is which, by the way. I just threw all these down at random. I mean, I can swap some of these if you want, but if you don't believe me already, you're not going to believe me. You're going to know that I swapped them the way that I wanted to. So what can I tell you? You're just going to have to trust me. That's going to be the end of the turn. We move on to the next turn. And to indicate the first turn of cutting action, I dropped one blue chip down. We're going to have to drop a second and a third, and then we'll clean up this web. Now, everybody is far away. We're moving a little more cautiously. Hey, we see webs. We know it's going to be a problem, except for these boneheads up here. Now, they can ride a total of 8 inches. Double timing, that's 8 inches on this table. So they're going to move up to within an inch, and they're going to investigate this guy right here. And it's going to be a 6. So that is more webs, which means our table is going to look something like this. I think we're going to go ahead and leave the webs down after all. On this turn, these guys will be up to cutting their way down to 2. And the reason I'm doing that is once they untangle themselves, our heavy hitters are tied up for at least 3 turns. They're going to have to come through it, and they either got to ride through here, which cuts their movement in half, or they're going to have to come all the way around. They may be out of the fight. And that's why I think this little exercise of hunting spiders is a lot more interesting than just lining them up and throwing them at each other. If we had just done this as an AD&D scenario, I don't think it would be nearly as interesting. On the next turn, so they've moved. I'm going to go ahead and move my skirmishers. What's the distance? See, this is 5 inches between, and these guys need to maintain a ½ inch between. So what does that mean? It means 2.5 inches is how far they can go. I want to know if these guys can investigate both of these points at the same time. That's what I'm looking to do here. And because it's 2.5 inches, if we put that, well, plus the kind of ½ inch for each of these. So that means so it's a ½ inch between. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 2 inches. And then it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys. So that's 4.5 inches. So if we go 4.5, then that means we've got, that's 4.5. Yeah, we're 1.5 inches away from each of these. 3 inches if we're in the real. So again, if you think that I'm being a little cheap here by dropping these guys down, but they may get webbed and be helpless. Oh, well, before we uncover that, I already know what it is. But I want to move everybody else just so I've committed. These guys are going to have to wheel. They're going to be able to come up here. And this is one of the other interesting things about this style of play is that, particularly with the webs, I'm really bottlenecked for my heavy foot. The spears can attack in 2 ranks. We're going basically, we're just kind of doing a hybrid version of the skirmish game. So there's 4 inches right there, but they got to spend some time wheeling. So I'm just going to bring them around like this. And this is what I'm talking about with the fact that I had deployed these guys kind of side by side, but we've got all these little choke points on the table, means I've got some decisions to make with my heavy foot. Right now they're in a couple of ranks. If these guys get all tied up, they may need to kind of snake their way around here. And if this is the spiders, we're going to be in some trouble here because these guys are not going to be able to defend themselves. I think we're going to reduce their weapon skill to 1. Which is going to be pretty brutal. So as you can see, this is an 8. And because we're so spread out, if we got to within 1.5 inches, maybe we did like this. That gives us a little more room. I'm going to have to drop spider webs down. Like I said, these spiders are pretty clever. They're dropping their webbing down over all the little game trails. So we can drop it something like this. And now these guys, when they want to go investigate that last row of 4 chips, they're going to have to come all the way around. And these, they're really going to be unsupported. Fortunately, our archers are going to be able to take some shots. Let's rule that the webs block line of sight. So we do have shots at these 2. But, this could be a real problem for us. Let's find out what happens. Oh, it's a 5. Thank goodness. Okay. So we've moved everybody. That's going to end the turn. I think the only other thing we can do is we can probably bring these guys up just a little bit further. Maybe sidle them around. Let's just call it 2 inches. We're going to move them 2 inches to the side so that they have a little clearer line of sight. Maybe they can shoot at this guy right there. On this turn, these guys cut themselves free. They can activate next turn. These guys are going to spend their first turn, and our medium horse are going to spend their second turn. Okay, so we have to bring our heavy foot around through there. And this is going to take a little bit. This is going to take a little time. You can spend half a move to change facing. Boop, boop. So they're going to move like this. And they're going to be in column march now. And that way we can kind of move them around a little faster. I think these guys, see, I shouldn't have followed up a little that closely to these guys. So these guys, however, are going to stay in line formation, and they're going to wheel and they're going to run into these guys. So 4 inches, as you can see, is about right there. If we do our wheeling, we're really only going to be able to get about 3 inches out of the potential full movement for these guys. And yeah, I'm doing a little bit of leapfrog, but that's all right. So we'll tighten them up like this. And that's really going to be it for this turn. Oh, maybe I don't want to cheat my movement here. Let's bring them like this, and maybe we just swing them around just a little bit more like this, so that on the next turn they're really ready to run through there. Okay, and that's going to be the end of the turn. Now the nice thing about this, about having all of our spiders, there is one more tag right here on this back row. This worked out really well for us. It's going to give our knights time, and we probably want to leave some room for them to come around too. We're going to be able to use our archers to throw some arrows at these two, because now we're at a 50-50 chance. Whichever one we touch first. Well, two of these are going to be webs, aren't they? No, there's only, did we do all the webs? So the webs were on 6, 7, and 8. Yes, we've uncovered all the webs. 2 of these are nothing. 2 of them are spiders. 50-50 chance. This could get really interesting. I think, given that, we can move these guys up 2 inches. Let's bring them up into here on this turn. That'll also get them out of the way of our horses. The horses have now cut themselves free, and because they're in 2 ranks, they're not skirmishers. Like I said, they're going to have to come through this direction. Our skirmish line here, I need to drop a second chip down there. They're 2 turns, and these guys finished cutting their way out last turn, which means they're going to be able to move, and because they ignore all terrain effects, I'm going to go ahead and just move them up 4 inches at a time. So he can move to there, and then we'll bring them up like that. Now the question is, do we want to bring our skirmishers up here? I think these guys are just going to pivot, and we're going to move them up like that. Okay, so they're back in a line formation now. They may need to wheel to get around this way, but we can use our light infantry. And one of the things, just kind of from a metagaming standpoint, our light infantry are cheaper to replace. If these 5 guys die, it's not going to cost us nearly as much as if we lose 5 of these heavy foot. On the other side of the ledger, up there at the north side of the table, our archers are going to be able to move up to the edge of the. I don't know if we want to do that, to be honest with you. I think we want to leave them back just a little bit. Something like that. Because when the spiders appear, it sure would be nice. Maybe we use 2 inches, and maybe we just kind of spread them out a little bit more so we can get 8 shots instead of the 4. I don't think archers can fire in 2 ranks in this game. So they're going to be able to move next turn. We'll bring these guys up, and then we'll look at the table situation one more time. On this turn, the medium horse have already cut their way out. They used half their movement to shift to column formation 4 inches down this way. They're going to be able to move 8 next turn. These skirmishers cut their way free. They're done. Now we can move people in whatever order we want. So if we take a look at these near skirmishers, they can move 4 inches. I'm going to move them up to here. And remember, they ignore the stream. So if we kind of look at them a little bit more like that. There we go. So they're getting close to where that last chip is. We may stay behind the stream because the spiders can't swim. And I think that's all I really want to do this turn. Because that's gonna free these guys up. Maybe we want to push these guys just a little bit more. Yeah, let's do that. Let's bring them up like 2 inches. And then we'll pivot them and bring them to kind of fill the gap right here. I think this is probably the best way to do. Hey, face forward, would you, buddy? Ooh. Except if we go 2, 4, that's probably a little too far for these guys on the end. I think they're only going to be able to make it up this far. And we'll bring these guys back just a little bit. You gotta move the outside swing edge first. And then like these guys are going to have to swing around like this. They're going to be facing kind of the wrong way. But we really want to move them up as far as we can so that we can make space for the horses to get through. I think that'll probably do it. I don't think the horses are going to play much role in this combat, to be honest with you. Because on the next turn, these guys are going to cut themselves loose, and they're going to be able to move 4 inches forward. And I I don't know about this. If we move them 4 inches, they're going to wind up right here, and they're going to be blocking the archer's line of sight. I think we'll just leave them right here. And they're probably going to be our cannon fodder. Sorry, guys. Well, like I said, these guys are going to be able to move 8 inches. So there's 6 right there. And that's really about all they're going to be able to do. Now, they do have the ability to kind of snake move when they're in column. So I can't remember. I should probably look it up. This is me. I'm gonna get better at Warhammer. I'm gonna stretch my muscles. Yeah, and then something comes up and I can't be bothered to look it up. I don't know. Is that relatable or is that annoying? Either way, I'm not too worried about it. So that's what that looks like. I still need to move my 3 more units of foot. After movement, the table looks something like this. And now it's time to commit. We are going to bring these guys up. We're going to see what's popping right here. I'm going to take this one at a time. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to start with this unit of foot right down here. They are 5 inches away. So if they move 4, they're just going to be able to pop off. They're going to be just at that 1.5 inch mark, where if this is spiders, we're going to be in some pretty big trouble. So is it? And with a 1, it's nothing. Okay. Whew. If this is a spider, they may be able to move up and get some flank attacks in if that's necessary. These guys will be the next to go. In fact, I'm going to go and pull these guys back. I don't want to commit them yet. I want to leave them out of the way. We'll do something like that. Yeah. And then I'm going to move these guys up just to not quite touching, because before I actually pull the trigger and hit that, I may need these guys as a follow-up sweep attack. There we go. So then these guys are going to move up, and once they hit that 1.5 inch mark, and this is why I'm moving them first, I want them to actually commit to where they're located. And then, I probably should have just moved everybody first. Like, what are our horsemen going to do? Our horsemen are in a line right there, and we're going to bring them up. They can move 4 inches, which isn't quite enough. I think we just got to bring them up the 6 to, like, right here. And then on next day, I have enough movement left to change formation. But on the next turn, they'll be able to form line abreast. And that way, if things go really bad, we'll at least be able to get these spiders, because they'll be able to pivot and just race up through here, okay? So we have one of these is empty. If it's not this guy, then we know all the spiders are over there and we can make some plans. Oh, but that's spiders. So now I have to reveal all of the spiders, and it's going to be their turn. So this one, and of course, that's going to be number 4. So spiders appear on the table. Now play kicks over to the spiders, and unfortunately for them, they are just outside of charge range, so they can just move up. I think I'll just bring them up to here. They can move a total of, I think it was 7 inches. They ignore terrain, so there's a skirmish line for this unit of 4, and then these guys are just going to charge in, and because they are the ambush spiders, they're going to get the first attack. So here we have a situation where we got 4 attacks on 10, and this is where things start to fall apart. Now, as I said, weapon skill of 3 versus 3, the spiders are going to be hitting on 4s. They're going to get 2 hits. Then they're going to be wounding. Wait a minute. One of those hits automatically wounds. The 6 is poisonous, auto wound. The 5 is going to be a second wound, and now these guys get to make their saves, which they save due to light armor and shield on a 5 or a 6. 2 failed saves means 2 of these guys are going to die before they even have a chance to attack. So instead of 10 attacking, there's going to be 8 counterattacks by the spearmen. Remember, they can attack in 2 ranks. And they hit on 4s. They're only going to get 1 hit, and that 1 hit is going to wound, and with no saves, it's going to be 2v1 on that combat. That means the final score here is 2. These humans outnumber the spiders, so they get a +1 to their morale. 1 casualty +1 is a score of 2. With 2 deaths here, no morale checks need to be made. That's going to be the end of the turn. The humans now get to go, And in this case, we're going to bring these guys up. So we're going to go with the mass flanks. Pachow. And that's going to make, this is probably a foregone conclusion. Now, this does a couple of different things. It commits these spearmen to this fight. They can't run over and race to help. These guys are on their own. These skirmishers and bowmen are going to be in trouble. But before we get to that, well, let's do the bowmen first, because the bowmen are simply going to fire here. And they're going to have, as I said, they're going to get 8 shots with a weapon skill of, well, I should probably check, because there's a whole bunch of modifiers. It's been a while since I've done this. And fortunately, the back of the book has a really good walkthrough, just like a 4-page rule set, or like cheat sheet for the rules. When you shoot, it's going to, they haven't moved. So with a weapon skill of 3, they're hitting on 4s. And all of these are negatives. They're not, oh, except, you know what? Hitting on 4s, but because they're firing at skirmishers, the bowmen are only hitting on 5s. So looking for 5s or 6s, we get a single hit. And the boys from Castle Weasel are not doing great. Single hit, but at least it's a wound, so they're going to take out one of those spiders. Now we get to do this combat down here, and this time the humans are going to get to roll for a total of 10 attacks. Again, they're going to be hitting on 4s, and that's going to be a much better... Oh, the dice finally swung in our way. So with all of these hits, we roll for wounds, and we just need 3. They're going to just smash them outright. So we lost a couple of guys over there. Now this is where having these guys all bunched up may come to our advantage, because the spiders get to go. Well, the horse guys are going to come up like this. And they only 4 can fit through there, so we're going to have to improvise a little bit there. And these guys can move a total of 4 inches, so they want to get in on the action. 4 inches for you, 4 inches for you, and we'll just kind of bring them up dragon rampant style. There's our little unit of skirmishers. Okay, so that's going to be the end of the turn for the humans. Wait, with these guys winning, do they get a follow-up move? Let me check that real quick. It's called an overrun move. It is optional. I think do I want to do that? I roll 2d6. They charge straight ahead that far. I don't think I do. I think it's going to take them too far away from these guys. Maybe. Oh, you know what? Maybe I do, so I can get the horses in. Let me do that. I'm gonna do it. With an 11, they're going to be able to move 5.5 inches, and they are so excited by their victory that they're going to race up here, and that's going to. Well, wait a minute. They only move half distance once they hit the grass, so they're going to stop right about there. And I'm just going to move them up. Just get them out of the way. There we go. Because that's going to allow our horses to kind of get involved in the action too. It's the spider's turn, so they have 2 options. Do they want to charge these skirmishers or these bowmen? And I'm going to let the dice decide. On a 1, 2, or a 3, they charge the bowmen. There you go. Our bowmen are going to stand and shoot. They're going to take 8 shots. 5, 6, 7, let's see, 3, 6, 7, 8 shots. And again, they're firing at skirmishers. They're only hitting on 5s. They're going to do a lot better this time around. They are going to hit on 5s. Oh, you know what? They only wound on 5s. These guys have toughness 4. So that means we're wounding on 5s. I might have cheated down here, except with all those hits, I think we're okay. So they do 1 more wound to those spiders. Some of you will call me out. Hey, these spiders are you only get to shoot if the spiders are more than half a move. The spider that we removed was 4 inches away. Since we can shoot at 1, we can shoot at all. I'm also not using the leadership test, so you can yell at me for that. Technically, with a leadership of 2 and with the +1, you got to roll above, or look at that. That's pretty good, man. There's my justification for these spiders. Go ahead and charging home. They are going to get 2 attacks on my lowly old bowman. And remember, this doesn't help me at all. They're going to get 2. Oh my goodness, this does not help me at all. I'm going to lose 2 more boys. 2 more archers. This is going to be expensive, guys. This combat's going to be a waste of time. Because they fired, they don't get to shoot. That's going to be the end of the turn. On the next turn, my skirmishers are going to charge home over here, and I am now going to get quite a few attacks. We get to attack first. I've got 8 archers remaining, and I've got 5 skirmishers, and they basically all have the same stats. It's going to be 3s versus 3s. We are going to be striking home on 4s. and I get to reroll one of these. That's only 12 dice. Let's see, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's only 10 dice. What am I talking about? I get to roll 3 more of these. So I hit a total of 3 times already, and then I hit 4 times. So we'll take these 4 dice, and we are looking for 5s. And if I get a couple of them, I get a couple of 6s, these spiders are going to die, and they don't have a chance to attack back. So we lost 4 people to these deadly, poisonous giant spiders. And it's July 4th, and then July 5th, we can finish our little exploration. Nothing happens, and we're going to go home. Then, because I didn't use any ratios, this is really easy. It's 1-to-1. And because I set this game up as a nice little organic kind of thing, I can play out a fun little scenario. I can kind of make it up and do things, just however. And this is what it's all about, right? Particularly when it comes to long-running campaigns. And this is why when you want to set up a campaign, there's a lot of really good books out there. We talk about Henry Hyde's Wargaming campaigns. We talk about Tony Bath. We talk about guys like, who else? Donald Featherstone and William Sylvester. But really, when it all comes down to it, if you want to play a killer campaign, a fantasy campaign, you want to generate scenarios, you can't go wrong with Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. And if sometimes you veer away from that, look how easy it is to use a game that was inspired by Dungeons and Dragons, at least partially, maybe co-invented with. But it's an old standard, and even though they release new editions all the time, this is such a great addition to this game. I wish I had more moral of the story to tell you, but I think I've said it all. Till next time, guys, I'm praying for you.